Hi, I'm Jamie Taylor. I'm a behavioral therapist at Aruka Institute of Healing. And I'm here because today I wanted to talk to you about suicide. And in particular, I wanted to talk about what if you have a friend, a family member, a coworker, a fellow student that you feel like they might be thinking about suicide. Or maybe they've said things that they're thinking about suicide. For instance, some things that people say is, I just want this all to be over. I really want this to end. Tomorrow will be a better day because I don't have to deal with it. If people also are giving away prized possessions, that's a huge red flag that they're probably thinking about suicide. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. What if you know somebody who's thinking of suicide? What should you do? I want to encourage you to just flat out ask them, are you thinking of suicide? Are you thinking of killing yourself? Be very specific in your questions. So, for instance, if you ask, are you thinking of hurting yourself or harming yourself? That could mean a variety of different things. That could mean cutting. That could mean scratching until you bleed. Another thing that I see when I see teenagers that they do is they do a lot of hair pulling. So that could mean that they're pulling the back of their hair. Like for instance, me, if I pulled all this hair back here, nobody would ever know. Sometimes people pull their eyelashes out or their eyebrows. And so those are all self-harming techniques. And so we want to be very specific. Are you thinking of suicide? Are you thinking of killing yourself? Now, there is a myth, and I want to bust that right away. If you ask somebody, are you thinking of suicide, and you talk about suicide with them, it doesn't put the idea in their head. That is a myth. Many people think of suicide. Think about it. If you're having a really rough day, maybe a rough week, maybe a rough month or a rough year, there's probably been a time where you've thought, it would be so much better if I wasn't here. This would be so much easier if I didn't have to deal with this. And you might not have specifically thought about, I want to kill myself, but you've probably had similar thoughts. So just ask, are you thinking of killing yourself? Are you thinking of suicide? So then you ask that question, now what, right? Because that's the scary part, really. If somebody says yes, what do you do next? And I want to encourage you to reach out to a trusted adult, or maybe that's the school therapist, maybe that's the school social worker, maybe if you're at work, that's somebody that you guys can sit down and talk to, and just sit down and talk. You can always listen to somebody's story. In my line of work, I work with a lot of teenagers and a lot of adults. And I will tell you, when I ask, are you thinking of suicide? Have you ever thought of suicide? Many times people just want to talk. They just want to be able to express, like, yes, I am. This sucks. Life sucks. I'm in a difficult spot. So just give people the space to talk about it and for them to say, I'm thinking about it, because it opens up the conversation. And then after you've listened to their story, contact a trusted adult, or like I said, a school social worker, counselor, if you are not qualified to help them. Now, I also want to say that one thing that you can do, I know that I myself and some of my peers, we teach classes about just suicide. It's called Assist. And I know that there are other classes out there. And so if you're interested in helping and learning more about suicide, I would encourage you to take those classes, because we really dive deep and talk about how to help people who might be struggling with suicide.